And welcome to another episode of Experts Speak. I am Michael DeLon. Today I'm talking with Matthew Fornaro. Matthew, thank you for spending some time with me.
Thank you for having me, Michael. I'm excited to be here.
Well, you are welcome. Matthew's the founder, lead attorney at Fornaro Legal, and he's a business attorney. And I'm really super excited, Matthew. I don't have many business attorneys on the show, and I think it's really important for my audience to understand the value and the importance of why do you need a great business attorney. So that's going to be the umbrella we're going to talk about today. Tell me, Matthew. I mean, how in the world did you get doing what you're doing today?
All right. Well, it's a multi-step process, Michael, so bear with me. All right.
All right.
So first, how did I become an attorney? So I grew up, I always kind of knew I wanted to be an attorney. I used to watch the People's Court and stuff like that, and I
Okay.
had fun watching it, not watching Law and Order and stuff like that. Not really a big fan.
Okay.
So I went to undergrad and I majored in political science, which the only thing you can do with a political science degree is either work in Washington, D.C. or become an attorney. So I decided to become an attorney. So I went to the University of Florida, Levin College of Law. And when I was there, I kind of focused on like intellectual property. I got an intellectual property law certificate and some other stuff. And I came out and I was just thankful to get a job. So I started working at a what you call a boutique law firm in
Right.
Boca Raton, doing like commercial litigation stuff. And then I thought, well, I need to experience big law life. I got to join a big firm. So I went to two big Am Law 200 law firms and I practiced a lot on commercial litigation. I helped a lot of big businesses and a lot of insurance companies and banks and stuff like that. So then I kind of came to a point in my career where I was like, all right, well, this is cool and all, but like, what do I want to do? Do I want to make a change and do whatever? So, as a side note, growing up, my dad had a small business, a medical equipment business that he ran. That I would always see him like, the stuff that he did in his business and the stuff that went into his business and the specific needs he had and various things. So that was always in the back of my mind. So, fast forward to when I was, working at a big law firm, I wanted to try to reach out to people who are more like my dad than more like, a big company or whatever, like the small business owner. And I didn't really have that opportunity to do that at a big law firm because it's kind of geared towards helping big businesses, not small
Right.
businesses. So I decided to go out on my own, which I did 9 years ago. And I decided to focus on helping small business owners like my dad with the issues that affect small businesses that kind of also affect big businesses too, but focus on small businesses. And that's kind of how I got started, and that's how I'm here today.
That's awesome. I love that story. Thank you for telling me that. You've actually how do I say this? You're abnormal in that it's like you always knew you wanted to be an attorney. You went down the attorney path, you became an attorney, now you're an attorney. I talked to so many business
Yeah,
owners who are like, man, it's just like a pinball, right? So it's fun to talk to somebody who's like, no, I've been wanting to do this since I was 9 or whatever. And
yeah.
uh,
No, that's true. I mean, I
is
grew
there
up
yeah.
watching the People's Court, Judge Wapner. I used to watch it every day at 4:30.
Judge Woffner, I forgot his name. I remember that though. People's
Rusty the Bailiff, Judge Wapner.
yeah.
I used to watch it all the time.
That's awesome. That is so cool. Okay, well let's dive into what are some of the issues that small business owners have where they could really benefit from a great attorney?
Well, there's really nothing that a attorney cannot help a business owner do from the inception through the life of the business. And it's kind of when I speak to my clients or when I meet new clients or whatever, it's kind of like your business obviously is not a hobby, it's your passion, it's what you do for a living. You want it to succeed. And as part of wanting to succeed, you can't go it alone, even though you may be a
Yeah,
one person business or whatever. You need to have a team on your side of professionals who can help you. So, as part of that team, you should have like a business attorney, an
yeah,
accountant, a banker. If you're doing internet stuff, like a web person, and they should all work not necessarily in unison, but have working knowledge of each other and of your business in order to help you succeed. So, as part of that team, the business attorney helps from the legal standpoint from the inception of your business to the life of your business. So, like for instance, what about the inception? So, a business law attorney will help you develop before you even get started, before you even do anything, a written business plan, which is essential as a business owner. You have to have a written business plan because you can't do anything without it. So the written business plan is kind of the roadmap of your business about what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, who's going to be involved, how it's going to be set up, where you're going to get money from, what you're going to do, where you're going to buy, where you're going to sell, where you're going to rent from. All that stuff's in your written business plan. And then once you get all that done and you kind of start moving more towards reality from theory, then a business law attorney will help you figure out what the best kind of business organization is for your business, working, of course, with your accountant to find out from a tax perspective what's the best organization for you. And then we'll draft the documents. We'll help you incorporate if you're a corporation, or register if you're an LLC, or whatever it is you want to do. And then regarding your various things in your business, we'll help you review, draft, negotiate all the contracts that go with your business, whether they're labor contracts or vendor contracts, leases, or things like that. And that's how we help you get started. And then from there on, we're at your service throughout the life of your business when things arise and if we need to do things. So it's kind of a proactive approach is what I like to take. You should always be proactive with your business law attorney and have them be part of the squad that helps you succeed in your business.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wrote an email that's going to come out in October, and it was talking about the concept from I got it originally from Think and Grow Rich, right? Napoleon Hill's book about the power of a mastermind and how important it is to put yourself in a room with other people who are normally smarter than you, but a room where you can bounce ideas off people and they can help guide and direct you. And in a sense, having that mastermind of an attorney, a CPA, the different people and components that help you at that higher level is super critical, because not only in working with you, Matthew, a business owner can understand what they need to have done, because a lot of them forget things or miss things, but also the confidence of knowing it's done right. Talk a little bit about that. I assume you see a lot of business owners who have just kind of thrown some things together and maybe filed themselves, and maybe they're most of the way right, maybe they're not, but they're just not sure. But we miss a lot of things. I'll talk about that in a minute. But the confidence that comes from saying, well, my attorney did this.
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, I love business, I love helping all businesses, but the best obviously situation is before you start, because then we can make sure we get everything right from the
Right.
inception and everything, your business is either going to succeed or fail based on its merits rather than technicalities. But if you're midstream and you come to me, then I can, it's probably most of the time, if you're going to come to me and you're already an active business owner, it's probably going to be something reactive that you're going to have me help you with.
Yeah.
Like you're being sued, you have an issue, you have an employee issue, you have a landlord issue or something, whatever. So I'll reactively fix that or help you address that and fix it. And then I'll be like, well, let's go back to the beginning and talk about what you should have done. And
Right.
let's try to fix it so that going forward, we can avoid incidents like what you brought me in for in this
Right.
instance. And then we can, cut down on your risks, cut down on your losses, and again, focus on you, on your merits. And that's kind of how I can catch someone midstream and, address their issues as opposed to just helping someone at the beginning.
Yeah. A couple of these are ideas and topics I just love to talk about. So, employee aspects, or whether they're employees or 1099, right? Because there are a lot of 1099ers out there
Mhm.
now. I think a lot of business owners don't understand the difference, and probably are unfortunately probably getting themselves in hot water. So you could help address that and actually craft. I mean, for our company, we have both employees and 1099 contractors, right?
Mhm.
And our attorney has crafted that agreement that we have with each party so that everybody understands it's totally legal and legit. Puts me at total ease. I don't have to worry about anything, right? But before we hired an attorney to do that, we were just like, well, you're a 1099. Talk about the importance of having the right documentation for those types of employee um, issues, because more and more people are just doing 1099s and virtual assistants and all of that stuff. But do you find that business owners don't have the proper framework, or what would you call it? You here where I'm going?
Yeah, no, this is something where obviously this comes into the cadre of professionals you want helping you. Like I would work with your accountant, and if you didn't have an accountant, I would help you find an accountant, and then we'd work with that accountant, coming up with what do you have? Employees, independent contractors, per diem people, whatever you want
Right.
to call them or whatever. We'll figure out from a legal and a tax and economic standpoint what's best for your company, because sometimes you want to have employees so then you could have group benefits, group retirement, and things like that versus just having independent contractors where then you're
Right.
not have that. And then the tax issue of you're going to have to contribute taxes and or you're not going to have to contribute taxes and withholding taxes and whatever. That's why I like to work with the accountant on that issue. But obviously, the main thing is that as a lay business person, you may think you know what an employee is versus an independent contractor,
Yeah.
but when the tax man comes knocking at the door, you're gonna find out that maybe you were wrong. Hopefully you
Yeah.
were right, but maybe you're wrong. If you're wrong, it's gonna cost you a lot. And that's why you want to make sure that you get that right by working with the attorney and working with the accountant to make sure you have your employees classified correctly. And then once they're classified correctly, you want to make sure, if you can, have an employment agreement or an independent contractor agreement. So that way the relationship between you and your employee or your independent contractor is spelled out
Yep.
as to who does what, when, where, why, how. And then if there's an issue, the remedies are in your contract. Like hopefully one of the things that I encourage my clients to do is have like an employment handbook,
Mm-hmm.
which I work with, I also work with other attorneys. So I work with a employment law attorney who focuses solely on that to help you come up with your employment handbook. So
Yep.
then that way, in case there's ever an issue with an employee or whatever, it's like, well, it's in the handbook, so that's exactly what to do. And then that's kind of how you address those issues.
Yeah. That's very cool. And you said early on, as you're crafting everything, that you've got an IP certificate, right?
An IP certificate, yes.
Okay, so intellectual property. I
Yes.
I really think that that's going to become more of an issue with the advent of AI and everything that's going on now, of how a business needs to protect its intellectual property, from my perspective, from a marketing perspective, but also from a business perspective. Do you think that's going to become a larger thing, or am I out to lunch?
No, I mean, look, it's all you want to talk about AI. I mean, we can have 50 podcasts about AI if you
Yeah,
want. I mean, I'm heavy into AI in the
yeah.
use of my law practice and using it to assist my clients and do stuff. So I'm way into AI.
Hmm.
Hopefully I'm ahead of the curve on that. But as far as protecting your existing intellectual property and I guess your future intellectual property, yeah, AI is going to affect your intellectual property because it's going to create derivatives or derivative works of, like, if you have written stuff or something that's copyrighted,
Yeah,
obviously someone can take it, drop it in AI and spit out something that's a derivative work of it, and then who owns the rights to it?
yeah,
Or the same thing with like a trademark. You may have like a logo or something like that that someone will slightly change or whatever, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, that was my trademark. Now what is it?
hmm,
So those are all issues where obviously you want to protect not only your tangible property in a business, but your intellectual property in a business as well. And then obviously, yes, AI is going to affect that probably more than anything else has so far as technology goes. And you just got to try to stay ahead of the curve and make sure you protect what you have and protect what's going to happen in the future.
yeah. And that's good. And I think one of the best ways to stay ahead of that curve is actually, what I tell people is to look backwards and go old school. And what that means is to have an attorney. So,
Mhm.
I hear marketing all the time, and it's all new stuff, all online, the new platform, and those are all fine and good. I go old school with print and, books and magazines and print newsletters and direct mail, because it works so effectively. Not that the other stuff doesn't,
Mhm.
but so many times, if you're chasing the next thing, you have forgotten what everything was built upon.
Mhm.
And if you go back to small and large businesses from decades ago, they always had their attorney. And
Mhm.
that's what you're providing for business owners is this is my attorney. And I cannot tell you how comfortable it is for me when an issue pops up of any nature. We can say, well, we'll have our attorney talk with you about that. And I just wipe my hands. Yes, I write a check, but I wipe my hands because I know it's going to be taken care of. And it probably puts the fear of God in the other person most of the time, which is really good and helpful.
Yeah,
And that's one of the big clubs y'all carry, right?
yeah. No, I mean, that's what I like to do for my clients is, I'm here to assist you. So
Yes,
when it's time for me to assist you, don't be afraid to come contact me because that's what I do. Don't try to
absolutely.
handle it yourself. Bring in the
At all.
professional.
At all. What are some of the so my audience is out there, the business owners, what do you think some of them are struggling with, I guess, that would make a good call out to you or an attorney to go, I just don't know. What are some of the most common issues, I guess, that you see small business owners trying to work through themselves, maybe, or go, dare I say, going to Google to find the answer
Yeah.
versus reaching out?
It's some of the same problems that all businesses face, particularly small businesses. I mean, problems with like quote unquote partners in the business, even though
Mhm.
they're not really partners because it's not a partnership, it's like a
Yeah,
corporation or an LLC. So they try to figure out how to fix that themselves and then they get in real trouble and the business hurts because of it. So, like that kind of thing, problems with employees, like a toxic employee kind of thing, or things
yeah,
like that, or an employee who takes advantage of the business. Um, things like just things that are, for lack of a better term, things that as a business owner, because you're not a professional in that area, that's not how you do things.
yeah,
You're operating at a very different level than you should be operating at regarding those issues.
yeah,
And I want to help you bring those up to the level that they should be at. And then they're not going to be issues anymore because they're just going to be cured based on the fact that we're actually going to address what was bothering you or what was hurting your business or whatever. And most of those routine things can be worked out with the assistance of an attorney or even with proactive planning by an attorney.
yeah. And what we have found in our company is, it let's just shoot the elephant, right, Matthew?
Yeah.
Attorneys are just outright expensive. And I'm a small business owner, I can't afford it. Well, the reality of it is, yes, they cost money, but the time that I don't spend trying to figure out a legal issue, which allows me to focus on marketing and working with clients and prospects, I make more money back because I'm focused on what I'm great at when I can delegate and hand off legal issues, finance issues to the expert. And I guess I want my clients or my our audience to understand, just like you want your prospects to pay you for your expertise, that's what you're doing when you work with Matthew, is you're paying him for that expertise that he's had to say, yeah, we all have cost and fees, but you make it up boatloads because you're focused on what you do best, and you know that Matthew's going to take care of it. It's going to be done right. It's going to be done properly. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, I mean that's a fair summary. I mean, I'm focused on that. You should do that. Let me give you an analogy, okay,
Okay, great.
that I think is pretty all right. My parents probably live 10 minutes away from me and I talk to them all the time, right? So my mom loves to tell me places to eat and get food at, okay?
Okay.
Or what to do, all right? So she'll tell me go to this and this restaurant or do whatever and pick up this and then get it for dinner. I'm like, okay, mom. I live whatever, like 30 minutes away from there. If I pay Uber Eats to go get the food for me and bring it to me, obviously they're going to make money or do whatever in addition to the cost of the food. But I just saved myself, you know, an hour and a half that
Yes.
I can, even if I just work for 30 minutes of that hour and a half or do something productive, I've actually made money than if I were to go and pick up that stuff or do whatever myself. And it's the same thing with an attorney. You
Yeah.
can try to figure out the stuff on the internet yourself, or you can try to call around and try to get free legal advice or whatever. But in the end, you want to focus on working on your business and let your attorney focus on being your attorney. And that's going to be the most cost effective thing. Just like, I'd rather focus on being an attorney, let Uber Eats go get my food for me, bring it to me, and then, we're all happy, we all made money, and we're all more efficient for it.
Yeah. No, that is a great analogy, because if the business owner gets that, it really does say, if you're going to grow your business, and I loved earlier you said that this cadre of professionals. So you've got your attorney, you've got your CPA, you got, your HR professional, whomever they are, advising you in business. And any good business has that board of advisors. And it doesn't have to be a formal board, but it needs to be able to say, hey, Matthew, I need help, with a simple email or a phone call to go, here's what's going on. What do I do?
Mhm.
And then you guide and direct. And I'm sure sometimes you say, Michael, here's what you need to do. And I go do it. Or other times you're like, Michael, I got this one. And you go do it.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of relationship, I think. And I really think, that's the word that I was looking for earlier. Business owners need to form a relationship, like you said, with a banker, because you're going to need money, and with your accountant, but you need a relationship with a great business attorney. And a business attorney is different than an estate planning attorney or a PI attorney. Matthew, the thing I love about you is your dad was in business, you're in business, you understand business, and you understand law. And putting those two together is kind of a unique breed of animal. So that's very cool.
Well, thank you, Michael. I worked I worked hard once I left big law and I wanted to help small businesses, understanding the business aspect of business, not just running my own business,
Yes.
but helping others, advise them on how to run their business, not just from a legal perspective, but from a practical perspective.
Yeah. And that work pays off, because you understand how a business works, so you can give great counsel to your clients. And I think there are a lot of people listening to this podcast and every other podcast who really need somebody in their court. They need somebody in their you're I don't know if you're old enough for this. Do you remember the movie Rocky, and the
Uh,
boxing thing, and he
I'm
had,
Italian, of course I know
of
Rocky.
course, Rocky. He had, his trainer was always in the corner, and it wasn't Paulie. Paulie was the other guy. I can't think of the guy's. Nick was
Nick.
always in the corner, right? And Rocky would go back to Nick, and Nick would advise him. And that's really what we need in business. Is everybody needs good Nicks in their life. And I think today, we're talking with a Nick, even though his name's not Nick. His name's Matthew, but he's going to help you with business law, and how to properly structure your business, how to help you with IP issues, HR issues, whatever legal issues that you might be working with, or maybe a friend of yours in business is dealing with. um, there's help to be found. You don't need to do it yourself, and you're actually going to come out way ahead if you reach out to talk to Matthew. Matt, I mean, how would somebody listening to this, Matthew, how would they find you? Where should they go to follow you? What's the best place to go?
Sure. So I'm all over the internet, but the easiest way to find me is just go to my website, which is fornarolegal.com, which is my last name,
Okay.
fornarolegal.com. And that has links to all of my social media, my phone number, my email address. It's got all kinds of like white papers and blogs on it. It's got other podcasts on it. It's got like self-help videos or informational videos.
Huh.
So that's the best way to find me. There's lots of stuff on my website that can help you. It can pretty much answer a lot of your questions just by going through my website. And if
Okay.
not, feel free to email me or call me.
That's awesome. That's great. I want to make sure that's in the show notes, because I would much rather one of my audience go to your website and look for the answers versus Googling it. Um, and then hopefully they find the answer. But if not, they're right there that they can reach out and email you, schedule a call, and have a conversation. Because it's really, really important when you're running a business to make sure you're protected well and that you're doing things legally. And I just think it's great to have somebody who understands business at the depths that you do, Matthew, and who understands the law to help business owners do it right. So thanks, man. Thanks for being my guest, but thanks for doing what you do, because there's a big need for it, and we need great counsel when it comes to legal counsel. How about that?
No, I appreciate it, Michael. Thank you.
You're welcome, Matthew. Thanks for being my guest. Thanks for listening to Experts Speak. Tune in again next week where we'll have another terrific interview. Take care. God bless.